39 verified facts about pyramids contradict nearly everything popular culture has taught us, and what follows is the real story of how these monuments were built, who built them, and what modern science has revealed inside them for the first time in 4,500 years. Egypt's pyramids rank among the most recognizable structures on Earth, and yet, for all their fame, myths that archaeology disproved decades ago still surround them. Slaves did not build them, aliens did not design them, and lost civilizations did not engineer them. What the evidence actually reveals is far more extraordinary than any of those stories. A tale of organized labor and innovative engineering and human determination spanning multiple continents and thousands of years. Some of these 39 facts come from discoveries made within the last decade, while others have been known to archaeologists for years but rarely reach public awareness. Together, they show us pyramids as they truly were. Not mysteries waiting for supernatural explanations, but achievements documented in ancient records and workers' villages and tool marks, and the stones themselves. We begin with the most persistent myth of all. Truth number 1. Archaeological evidence proves slaves did not build the Egyptian pyramids. The belief that slaves, often specifically Hebrew slaves, constructed the pyramids has no supporting evidence whatsoever, and this is not a matter of interpretation or debate among scholars, because the archaeological record is clear. Excavations that began in 1988 at a site called Hayt el Ghurab uncovered a workers' village located 400 meters south of the Sphinx. And what researchers found there was not a slave camp, but a sophisticated community spanning 20 hectares. Bakeries and breweries and medical facilities and organized housing filled this settlement. And the people who lived here were not prisoners serving sentences, but employees doing their jobs. Truth number 2. Pyramid workers were paid and ate better than the average Egyptian. Analysis of animal bones from the workers' village revealed that these laborers consumed beef, sheep, goat, duck, and fish, and the quantities were substantial. 4,000 pounds of meat were produced daily to feed the workforce, an estimate that researchers arrived at after studying the remains. And that level of nutrition exceeded what the average Egyptian population received during the same period. Mark Lehner, director of Ancient Egypt Research Associates and one of the foremost authorities on Giza, made a pointed observation about this finding when he noted that such generous provisioning was not usually the case in the ancient Middle East. Slaves do not receive premium rations, but valued workers do. Truth number 3. Workers received competent medical care, including successful surgeries. Skeletal analysis conducted by Egypt's National Research Center examined the remains of workers buried near the pyramids and revealed healed fractures with proper bone realignment, evidence that when workers were injured, they received medical treatment and were allowed to recover. Some remains showed successful amputations and dental procedures, the kind of care that takes time and resources. This is not how slave laborers were treated in the ancient world, but it is how a kingdom cared for workers it valued. Truth number 4. Workers were buried with honor and provisions for the afterlife. A donkey stumbled into a mud brick structure near the Giza plateau in 1990, and that accident led to the discovery of a workers' cemetery that would change how we understand pyramid construction. The tombs followed traditional Egyptian practices, even though they were modest compared to royal burials, with workers buried alongside provisions of beer and bread for their journey to the afterlife. The same custom observed for Egyptian citizens across all social classes. Zahi Hawass, former Egyptian Minister of Antiquities, was unequivocal about what this meant when he stated that there was no way these individuals would have been buried so honorably if they were slaves. His reasoning was straightforward, because slaves would not have prepared their tombs for eternity in the manner of kings and queens. Truth number 5. The slave myth originated 2,000 years after the pyramids were built. Where did this myth come from? And the answer traces to a single source, the Greek historian Herodotus, who visited Egypt around 450 BCE, which was more than 2 millennia after the Great Pyramid's construction. Herodotus wrote of 100,000 workers laboring in shifts, but his account was based on hearsay rather than records, and he never claimed they were slaves in the first place. The transformation of workers into slaves came later through biblical narratives about Israelite labor in Egypt, narratives that never actually mention pyramid construction, and through centuries of storytelling that conflated different eras of Egyptian history into one confused picture. Truth number 6. No Jewish slaves built the pyramids because Jewish people did not exist when the pyramids were built. This is a matter of chronology rather than theology, and the timeline is simple. Completion of the Great Pyramid came around 2560 BCE, while the emergence of the Israelite people as a distinct group occurred centuries later. Professor Amihai Mazar of Hebrew University has been direct on this point, stating that no Jews built the pyramids because Jews did not exist at the period when the pyramids were built. Roughly 1,000 years separate the pyramids from the historical context of Exodus. Truth number 7. Hollywood perpetuated the slave narrative into modern consciousness. Whatever historians knew, popular culture told a different story, and Cecil B. DeMille's films, along with countless documentaries prioritizing drama over accuracy and generations of fictional depictions, embedded the slave narrative so deeply that it became assumed truth. But the actual evidence tells us something different, and workers' villages and medical care and honorable burials and premium food rations all point to the same conclusion. Building a pyramid was a national project staffed by rotating crews of Egyptian workers who served their pharaoh not in chains, but in what appears to have been a form of national service. Truth number 8. Not a single artifact from Giza can be attributed to a lost civilization or extraterrestrial source. The claim that ancient Egyptians could not have built the pyramids and that they must have received help from aliens or survivors of Atlantis collapses against one simple fact. More than a century of systematic excavation at Giza has failed to produce a single piece of material culture that cannot be explained as Egyptian in origin. Zahi Hawass addressed this directly in November 2024, when he stated that no extraterrestrial beings or supernatural forces were involved, emphasizing that not a single object has been found at Giza that can be interpreted as coming from a lost civilization. The evidence trail is entirely Egyptian, and it is extensive. Truth number 9. Copper tools combined with sand abrasive could cut granite. One of the core claims of alternative theorists is that ancient Egyptians lacked the technology to cut and shape the hard stones used in pyramid construction. But experimental archaeology has demonstrated this claim is false. Researcher Dennis Stocks conducted experiments at the Aswan quarries in 1999 using replicas of ancient Egyptian tools, and he discovered that a copper saw used with quartz sand as an abrasive could cut a slot in granite 3 centimeters deep and 95 centimeters long in 14 hours. The insight here is crucial because copper alone cannot cut granite, but copper was never used alone since it served as a lapping surface guiding the sand, which is as hard as granite, to perform the actual cutting. Workers used dolerite pounding balls for the hardest stone, a material harder than the granite they quarried, and the unfinished obelisk at Aswan, a 1,200-ton monument abandoned mid-carving, preserves clear marks from these tools alongside ochre planning lines showing work assignments. Truth number 10. The Diary of Merer documents pyramid construction in the workers' own words. French archaeologist Pierre Tallet made one of the most significant discoveries in Egyptology in 2013, when he found a cache of papyrus documents at a site called Wadi al-Jaf on the Red Sea coast. Documents dating to the reign of Khufu, the pharaoh who built the Great Pyramid. These papyri, known as the Diary of Merer, are the oldest written records related to pyramid construction, essentially logbooks documenting the daily activities of a work crew led by an inspector named Merer. His team of 40 sailors made approximately 30 round trips monthly, transporting limestone from the Tura quarries to Giza by boat. A sample entry reads, Day 26, Inspector Merer casts off with his filey from Tura, loaded with stone, for Akhet Khufu, spends the night at Sheikh Khufu. Talat described these documents as like Excel spreadsheets of the ancient world, clear and orderly administrative records of a massive logistical operation. Truth number 11. We now know the name of the Great Pyramid's project manager. The Diary of Mera identifies a man named Ankaf, Khufu's half-brother, as overseer of the Giza harbour, which makes Ankaf the first identified project manager in pyramid construction history. Here was a real person documented in contemporary records, overseeing the supply chain that built one of the ancient world's greatest monuments. There is no mystery here, just bureaucracy. Truth number 12. Workers organized into crews with names like Friends of Khufu and Drunkards of Menkaure. Graffiti left by the workers themselves preserves the organizational structure of pyramid construction, showing that they organized into gangs of approximately 2,000, subdivided into crews of 1,000, then into groups called philes, a Greek word meaning tribe, of 200, and finally into divisions of 20. These gangs gave themselves names that survive in the marks they left on stones, including Friends of Khufu Gang and Drunkards of Menkaure. Enslaved people do not leave signatures like this, but crews who took pride in their work and their association with their pharaohs do. Truth number 13. Modern estimates put the workforce at 20 to 30,000, not 100,000. Herodotus claimed 100,000 workers built the pyramids, but modern archaeological analysis suggests a more accurate figure of between 20,000 and 30,000 workers in rotating 3-month shifts. This is still an enormous undertaking, but it is a human undertaking achievable with the organizational capacity that Egypt demonstrably possessed. Truth number 14. The Great Pyramid aligns to true north with an error of less than 1/20th of 1 degree. The precision of the Great Pyramid is genuinely striking, with its base level to within just over 2 centimeters across more than 230 meters, and its alignment to true north, deviating by less than 3/60ths of a degree. How did the Egyptians achieve this without alien technology? And the answer involves careful observation of star positions, plumb bobs, water levels, and meticulous measurement. The methods were simple while the application was expert. Truth number 15. A 2018 discovery revealed Egyptians could move blocks up ramps steeper than previously believed possible. Archaeologists Dr. Roland Enmarch and Dr. Yanis Gordon discovered a 4,500-year-old ramp system at the Hatnub quarries, complete with wooden posts and rope holes, and this system demonstrated that ancient Egyptians could move blocks up slopes exceeding 20%, far steeper than researchers had previously thought feasible with ancient technology. This discovery directly contradicts claims that Egyptian construction techniques were inadequate for pyramid building, showing instead that they were more than adequate. Truth number 16. Unfinished structures reveal construction methods frozen in progress. Some of the most valuable evidence for how pyramids were built comes from pyramids that were never finished or that failed during construction. The Meidum Pyramid partially collapsed, exposing its internal structure, while the bent pyramid at Dashur changed angle mid-construction from 54 degrees to 43 degrees, apparently in response to structural concerns. These monuments preserve the learning process of Egyptian builders, showing engineers solving problems in real time, adjusting their methods, learning from failures. This is not the work of beings with perfect knowledge, but the work of humans developing expertise. Truth number 17. The Scam Pyramids project has revealed hidden spaces using cosmic ray particles. October 25th, 2015 marked the launch of the Scam Pyramids project, the most significant technological advance in pyramid research since the 19th century. Mehdi Tayoubi of the Heritage Innovation Preservation Institute in Paris and Hani Halal of Cairo University lead this project, which employs a technique called muon tomography. Muons are particles created when cosmic rays strike Earth's atmosphere, and they pass through solid matter, while dense materials slow them down. Measuring how muons move through a pyramid allows researchers to detect variations in density. revealing voids and cavities invisible to any other method. This is the same technology used to image the interior of nuclear reactors, and now it peers inside structures built 4.5 millennia ago. Truth number 18. Researchers detected a cavity at least 40 meters long above the Grand Gallery in 2017. November 2nd, 2017, brought a publication in the journal Nature that transformed our understanding of the Great Pyramid's interior. 3 independent detection teams confirmed the existence of a previously unknown void above the Grand Gallery, using nuclear emulsion films at Nagoya University, scintillator hodoscopes at KEK in Japan, and gas detectors from CEA in France. 5 sigma was the statistical confidence achieved, less than a 1 in a million probability of error, and this is the same threshold used to confirm the discovery of the Higgs boson. Truth number 19. The Big Void was not expected by any existing theory of pyramid construction. This cavity, designated the Big Void, measures at least 40 meters in length, with a cross-section similar to the Grand Gallery below it. Mehdi Tayyubi stated that they did not know whether this void was made by one structure or several successive structures. But what they were certain of was that this void was there, that it was impressive, and that it was not expected by any kind of theory. 4,500 years of study, and the Great Pyramid still held a secret. Truth number 20. Researchers captured the first images inside a hidden corridor in 4,500 years in 2023. March 2nd, 2023 brought confirmation from the Scan Pyramids team of a 9-meter corridor behind the chevron stones above the pyramid's original entrance, and using a 5mm endoscopic camera, they captured the first images of this space since the pyramid was sealed. The footage revealed unfinished walls and a chevron-shaped roof, and at the corridor's end sit 2 limestone blocks that raise an obvious question about what lies beyond them. Truth number 21. Anomalies were detected in the Pyramid of Menkaure in 2025. Expansion of the Scan Pyramids project brought its work to the smallest of the 3 Giza pyramids, and in April 2025, the team detected 2 air-filled anomalies within the Pyramid of Menkaure, potentially confirming a long-hypothesized second entrance. Christian Gross of the Technical University of Munich noted that the hypothesis of another entrance is very plausible, and that these results take researchers a big step closer to confirming it. The scanning continues, and more discoveries likely await. Truth number 22. Egypt contains approximately 118 pyramids, but Sudan has 255. Most people who think of pyramids think of Egypt, and few realize that the nation with the most pyramids on Earth is actually Sudan. Egypt's pyramid count stands at approximately 118 to 138, with classification disputes accounting for the range, while Sudan, home to the ancient kingdom of Kush, contains roughly 255 pyramids, more than twice Egypt's total. Truth number 23. Nubian pyramids have steeper angles and smaller dimensions than Egyptian ones. The pyramids of ancient Nubia, concentrated at sites called Meroe, Nuri, El Kuru, and Jebel Barkal, differ significantly from their Egyptian predecessors with angles of 60 to 70 degrees, compared to the Egyptian standard of 40 to 50 degrees. They are also smaller, averaging about 27.5 meters on each side of the base, and roughly 30 meters in height. Perhaps most significantly, Nubian pyramids were constructed over burial chambers rather than containing them within their structures. Truth number 24. Nubian pyramid construction continued for over 1,000 years, ending in the 4th century CE. Around 751 BCE, the Nubian pyramid tradition began, and it continued until the 4th century of the Common Era, a span of more than a millennium. The largest Nubian pyramid, built for Pharaoh Taharko at Nuri, reaches 50 meters in height. These structures were built during and after the 25th dynasty, from 747 to 656 BCE, when Nubian kings ruled Egypt as the so-called Black Pharaohs, and the pyramid tradition they adopted outlasted Egyptian pyramid building by 2,000 years. Truth number 25. The Step Pyramid of Giza was humanity's first pyramid and first large-scale stone building. Before there was a Great Pyramid, there was the Step Pyramid, constructed around 2670 to 2650 BCE for Pharaoh Giza at Saqqara, which was not only the world's first pyramid, but the first large-scale stone building in human history. The structure rose from a traditional flat-roofed tomb called a mastaba, and its designer added successive levels, creating 6 stepped tiers, reaching 62.5 meters, a form that would evolve over the following century into the smooth-sided pyramids of Giza. Truth number 26. The Step Pyramid's designer, Imhotep, was later deified. Imhotep served as Djoser's vizier and designed this revolutionary structure, and his achievement was so significant that later generations elevated him to divine status, making him one of the few non-royal Egyptians to be deified in ancient times. Czech Egyptologist Miroslav Werner has written that it can be said without exaggeration that Djoser's pyramid complex constitutes a milestone in the evolution of monumental stone architecture, and the form that would define ancient Egypt's legacy began here with one man's vision. Truth number 27. Mesoamerican pyramids served as temples, not tombs. The pyramids of Mexico and Central America share a name with their Egyptian counterparts, but they served fundamentally different purposes. Egyptian pyramids were burial monuments designed to house and protect the bodies of pharaohs for eternity, while Mesoamerican pyramids were temple platforms, bases for shrines accessed by exterior staircases where rituals took place in public view. The dead were sometimes buried within Mesoamerican pyramids, but this was not their primary function since they were stages for the living rather than houses for the dead. Truth number 28. The Great Pyramid of Cholula in Mexico surpasses Giza by volume. The Great Pyramid of Giza is the tallest ancient pyramid, but it is not the largest, and that distinction belongs to the Great Pyramid of Cholula in Mexico, known in Nahuatl as Tlachihualtepetl. 4.45 million cubic meters is Cholula's volume, compared to Giza's 2.5 million cubic meters, and it contains approximately 100 million adobe bricks and was built in stages from the 3rd century BCE to the 9th century CE. A Spanish colonial church sits atop the structure today, and centuries of erosion and vegetation have given it the appearance of a natural hill, which means many visitors do not realize they are looking at the largest pyramid on Earth. Truth number 29. The Maya pyramid of La Danta required an estimated 15 million man-days of labor. Deep in jungle accessible only by a 5-day trek or helicopter at El Mirador in Guatemala stands the pyramid known as La Danta, rising 72 meters with a volume of 2.8 million cubic meters, making it the largest Maya pyramid and the second largest ancient pyramid by volume. Construction took place between 300 BCE and 150 CE, and the structure required an estimated 15 million man-days of labor to complete. This was a civilization capable of mobilizing enormous resources centuries before the classic Maya period that most people associate with Maya achievement, and researcher Richard D. Hansen of Idaho State University continues excavations at this remote site, uncovering evidence of a sophisticated society that flourished more than 2,000 years ago. Truth number 30. LiDAR technology revealed over 60,000 hidden Maya structures in 2018. An aerial survey using LiDAR, which stands for Light Detection and Ranging Technology, transformed our understanding of ancient Maya civilization in 2018, when laser pulses fired from aircraft penetrated the jungle canopy of Guatemala, revealing what centuries of ground-level exploration had missed. More than 60,000 previously unknown structures emerged from the data, including pyramids and palaces and causeways and defensive fortifications. The Maya lowlands, long assumed to have supported a relatively sparse population, were revealed as home to a dense and interconnected civilization. Truth number 31. A lost Maya city was discovered in 2024, right next to a modern highway. Tulane University doctoral student Luke Old Thomas analyzed LiDAR data from the Mexican state of Campeche in 2024 and identified over 6,500 previously unknown structures, and among them was an entire city he named Valeriana, featuring a 25-meter pyramid. And here is what makes this discovery remarkable. This lost city sat directly adjacent to a modern highway, hidden beneath vegetation so dense that no one driving past had ever suspected its existence. Truth number 32. Mesoamerican pyramids were built in layers, like nesting dolls. When a new ruler came to power in ancient Mesoamerica, they often chose not to demolish existing pyramids, but to encase them in new and larger structures, which created what archaeologists call the Matryoshka pattern after the Russian nesting dolls. El Castillo at Chichen Itza contains 3 pyramids nested inside each other. The Great Pyramid of Cholula has 6 superimposed layers, and the Templo Mayor in the Aztec capital had 7 successive construction phases before the Spanish conquest in 1521. Each layer preserved the work of previous generations, while allowing new rulers to make their mark on sacred space. Truth number 33. The paper claiming Gunung Padang dates to 25,000 years ago was retracted. Indonesia's Gunung Padang site became briefly famous in 2023 when a paper claimed it dated to 25,000 years ago, which would make it older than the end of the last ice age and challenge everything we know about human prehistory. March 2024 brought the paper's retraction after the critical flaw was identified. Radiocarbon samples were collected from soil near, not within, the coring sites. Dating ancient soil beneath a structure tells you when the soil formed rather than when the structure was built, and as critics pointed out, dating soil under the Eiffel Tower does not tell you when the Eiffel Tower was constructed. Gunung Padang remains a significant megalithic complex from approximately 2,500 BCE, impressive without fabricated antiquity. Truth number 34. The Bosnian pyramids are natural geological formations. A Bosnian-American businessman claimed in 2005 that hills near the town of Visoko in Bosnia were actually ancient pyramids, larger than those at Giza and dating back 12,000 years, and the claim attracted media attention and tourist dollars. The European Association of Archaeologists issued a statement condemning the claims as a cruel hoax, and multiple geologists have confirmed that these hills are flatirons, wedge-shaped formations created by differential erosion of sediments dating to the Miocene epoch. The rocks contain fossils millions of years old, and excavations at the site have actually damaged genuine medieval and Roman archaeological remains in the pursuit of imaginary pyramids. Truth number 35. Pyramid building cultures had no contact with each other. The existence of pyramids on multiple continents has led some to propose a common source, a mother civilization, perhaps Atlantis, that spread pyramid building knowledge around the world. But this hypothesis fails against basic evidence. Consider the timelines. Egyptian pyramids began around 2630 BCE. Pyramids at Caral in Peru date to around 2600 BCE. Mesoamerican pyramid construction began between 1200 and 400 BCE. Nubian pyramids started in 751 BCE, and the Step Pyramid at Kokare in Cambodia dates to the 10th century CE. These traditions span more than 3,000 years and use different construction methods. Cut limestone in Egypt, rubble and adobe in Mesoamerica, rammed earth in China, while serving different purposes from tombs in Egypt to temples in Mesoamerica to grave markers in Nubia. No artifacts connect them, no trade evidence links them, and no shared symbols unite them. Truth number 36. Pyramids represent the simplest solution to building tall with basic technology. Why did so many cultures independently build pyramids? And the answer is structural rather than mystical. A pyramid is the most stable way to construct a tall building using stone or earth or brick, because weight distributes downward and outward, and the structure cannot easily topple. No advanced knowledge of physics is required to arrive at this shape, and children demonstrate it independently when building in sandboxes. When humans across the world sought to build monuments that would endure and impress, they arrived at similar solutions because they faced similar engineering constraints, which means the pyramid is not evidence of ancient connections, but evidence of universal logic. Truth number 37. 90% of the Maya city of Palenque remains unexcavated. For all we have learned, far more awaits discovery, and at Palenque, one of the most famous and extensively studied Maya sites, an estimated 90% of the city remains unexcavated. The temples and palaces that tourists visit represent only a fraction of what lies beneath the surrounding jungle, and every season of excavation reveals new structures, new inscriptions, and new insights. The Maya civilization has not finished yielding its secrets. Truth number 38. No one knows the purpose of the big void inside the Great Pyramid. The void detected by the Scan Pyramids project in 2017 remains unexplained, and at 40 meters or more in length, it is not a minor construction gap. Whether it served a structural function, perhaps relieving weight above the Grand Gallery, or represents an undiscovered chamber with its own contents, no one can yet say. The North Face corridor, confirmed in 2023, ends in limestone blocks, and what lies beyond those blocks is unknown. The anomalies detected in the Pyramid of Menkaure in 2025 await further investigation, and after 45 centuries, the pyramids of Giza have not given up all their secrets. Truth number 39. New scanning technology promises to reveal the Great Pyramid's complete interior structure. A project called the Exploring the Great Pyramid mission, led by physicist Alan Bross of Fermilab, aims to deploy muon telescopes with 100 times greater sensitivity than current technology. And the goal is true three-dimensional tomographic reconstruction of the pyramid's interior, a complete map of every void and chamber within the structure. Such a map would answer questions that have persisted since antiquity, revealing whether the big void connects to known passages, whether additional chambers exist, and what the pyramid's builders intended with the spaces they created. The technology to answer these questions is being developed now, and within our lifetimes, we may finally see inside a monument that has guarded its secrets for 4,500 years. We began with myths that have persisted for centuries, that slaves built the pyramids, that ancient people could not have managed such construction, that the explanation must lie beyond human capability, and the evidence tells a different story. Workers lived in villages with bakeries and breweries. They ate beef and fish. They received medical care when injured, and they were buried with provisions for the afterlife. Their names survive in graffiti on the stones they placed, and their supervisors are documented in papyrus records that read like ancient spreadsheets. The tools they used, copper saws with sand abrasive and dolerite pounding balls and wooden sledges and ramps, have been tested by experimental archaeologists and found capable of the work required. The learning process of Egyptian engineers is preserved in structures that failed, in angles that changed mid-construction, in monuments left unfinished that reveal their methods. Pyramids were not an Egyptian invention alone, and Sudan holds more pyramids than Egypt, while Cholula in Mexico exceeds Giza in volume, and the Maya built La Danta with 15 million man-days of labor. Each culture that raised these monuments did so independently, arriving at similar forms because they faced similar challenges. Modern technology continues to reveal what ancient builders left behind, from the big void hidden for 45 centuries, to the North Face corridor seen for the first time through a 5mm camera, to the anomalies in Menkaure's pyramid that may confirm a second entrance to the 60,000 Maya structures invisible until lasers pierce the jungle canopy. The real story of the pyramids does not require aliens or Atlanteans, but only what the evidence shows. human beings organizing labor on a massive scale, solving engineering problems through trial and error, building monuments that expressed their beliefs and honored their dead. This is not a lesser story than the myths it replaces, and the fact that ordinary humans, workers with families, crews with nicknames, supervisors with schedules to keep, created structures that have endured for millennia is more striking than any fantasy of extraterrestrial intervention. The pyramids stand as monuments not to mystery, but to human capability, reminding us what organized effort and persistent ambition can achieve. And they continue to reveal through scientific investigation truths hidden since the age of the pharaohs. These are the pyramids as they truly were. These are the 39 facts that reshape our understanding. And somewhere within those ancient stones, more secrets wait for the technology that will finally bring them to light.